This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Tuesday, September 2nd. Besides the fact people are power washing outside, so noise reduction is going to have a lot of work today. Reminder before I get into the news, the Podcast Landscape 2025 report debuts this Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in a live webinar hosted by Tom Webster. You might have seen some teaser data if you're a podcast movement in Dallas. Now you can catch the full presentation. A quick reminder that, as is the case with every Sounds Profitable research presentation, registering ahead of time means you'll get emailed the report automatically after the fact. Registration is open and a great way to be first in line for the data. Now for our top stories. Podcasters are making millions through live events. Live shows are more and more a growing concern. Madison Square Garden has had multiple sold-out podcast live shows this year alone, including the annual Kill Tony performances that have sold out 2 years in a row, and Dropout's much-hyped Dimension 20 live show. Podcasts are such a big deal at Madison Square Garden, their parent corporation changed the website's event calendar, so one of the options on the drop-down on the event schedule is concerts, comedy shows, and podcast shows. A recent Pollstar survey shows last year Kill Tony raked in $11 million in live show tour profit. Live shows have been a part of podcasting since the early years, but the medium's growing mainstream appeal has also evolved live shows to some of the biggest performances, with simple radio play style performances being supplemented with stylish shows and big budget spectacles. Where else can one find pyrotechnics during a game of Dungeons and Dragons? Next up, the creator economy wants to be a mature media channel, but measurement is holding it back. 7 influencer marketing experts interviewed by Digiday agree the creator economy has some measurement issues that might stunt its growth long term, ranging from measurement fragmentation to inconsistent attribution. As a broad umbrella, the creator economy lacks zoomed-in attribution methods like clicks, sales, and other usual CMOs used to justify ad spend. The article doesn't mention podcasting specifically, so I will. We do have that level of granularity and measurement. Podcasting's put a fair bit of time and effort into building out its ad tech over the past decade, even more than that. The challenge now will be reconnecting with brands and marketers who have 15-year-old impressions of podcasting's capabilities. Next up, talent managers are reading the fine print in creator contracts. They can't always change it. Talent manager Johanna Voss tells Marketing Brew her work negotiating with brands and agencies on behalf of influencer clients has become increasingly difficult in recent months as contracts sprout more and more clauses that she's not allowed to redline. While there's no concrete answer as to why brands and agencies are starting to refuse previously standard contract revisions and negotiations, experts tell Marketing Brew it's likely motivated by the recent scaling of influencer collaborations. Big brands are now taking on double-digit influencer contracts at the same time, which could add up both time spent and legal bills if every influencer's rep redlines clauses. Though, rubber stamping terms and conditions across multiple influencers could have a dampening effect on the inherent reason to hire an influencer, their authenticity and individuality. Next up, Edison Research Top 25 Podcasts in the UK, Quarter 2, 2025. Analyst Adam Bowie's back at it again with a breakdown of the new quarterly Edison Research ranker for top podcasts in the UK. This Q2 chart reflects an update since last time, as now Edison also counts individuals who only consume podcasts via video. This has boosted both Call Her Daddy and the Louis Theroux podcast up into the top 25. A majority of the 25 are always-on podcasts that continuously produce episodes without seasonal breaks, with seasonal shows like Uncanny falling down the charts, while in-season shows like Desert Island Discs keep generating traffic from those new episodes. And finally, YouTube, Netflix ride the wave of summer streaming highs in Nielsen's Media Distributor Gauge. Nielsen's Media Distributor Gauge report finds that for the 6th consecutive month in a row, YouTube has been the top media distributor, capturing 13.4% of TV viewing, followed by Disney's 9.4% and Netflix's 8.8% this July. The usual boost to streaming from summer break in the Northern Hemisphere boosted Netflix and the Roku channel stats to new peaks. Amazon drew quite close to the platform's ever best share, which was 4%, and they set that back in December of 2024. They scored 3.9% in July. Speaking of July boost, the Hallmark Channel made it up to 1.1% share thanks to their annual Christmas in July programming event that debuts new Christmassy content, so surprisingly, in July, a move that increased viewership 19% compared to June. As for the rest of the news, the podcast study has a series of webinars coming up both this month and early October, starting with a presentation about deepening loyalty and engagement with existing podcast audiences. That's on Thursday, September 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The podcast host has a new piece interrogating whether podcasts should put pictures of their hosts in their cover art. Podcast production company Message Heard has announced Max Warren is now the company's chief operating officer. Media Week has a piece about new pod poll results showing YouTube's growing presence in Australian podcast listening, as well as Sounds Profitable data showing YouTube podcast consumers still consume a lot of shows as audio. And keeping Australia in mind, Listener has announced a new mini-series of the Secrets We Keep true crime feed, this one titled Jailbreak. Be sure to check out the links to every article I've talked about today by heading over to the download section of soundsprofitable.com and finding today's episode post. Or you can take a handy-dandy link in your show notes right now to go directly to that post. And while you're on the website, you could even subscribe to the newsletter while you're there. The download is written and produced by myself, Brian Barletta, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us again tomorrow.